Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. It's March of 2021. I always try to give a date reference for these videos because they may pop up somewhere else and wouldn't be time aware. Nothing that I talk about on this channel is time oriented or sequential in nature, that you have to watch videos in chronological order. But I still think it's important that we put some kind of a time stamp or time frame around videos when we put them out. So listen, if you have any thoughts that fundamental analysis works, please go bury your head in the sand. Stay out of the news for a while so you don't know what's going on, and then come back to the charts, and then do what you think you need to do without having the influence of some asshole news person saying that the dollar's going up, the yen is weak, the economy of Brunei is going to go down, and I don't know, Mexico's in default on the peso and it's going to arbitrarily affect New Zealand or something. It doesn't matter. I'm in a situation right now where the pound has gone up $2 in a relatively short period of time on the DXY, dollar index. The one of the currencies I trade, the pound dollar, things aren't going well in Britain. They're not getting the vaccines for the pandemic distributed enough, and their death rate per million is higher than the United States, I think. And their economy is in turmoil because of the Brexit thing. And the fucking pound dollar is going up. Weak dollar, or excuse me, strong dollar, weak pound, do the division, and that fucker should be going down. It should be going down. And it just keeps going up. So you look at the daily chart, and it has started to go down. Over the last, 10 or 20 days, the pound dollar has started to gradually arc over and go down. You go on the 4-hour chart, you get confirmation of that. You go down on the 1-hour chart, it's going down. And then it goes up. And then it goes up again. So you've got on the 15-minute and the hour charts, you've got these counterplays to the activity of what you call the bias, the trend bias that's going on, that's in direct conflict to the fundamental characteristics of not only one of the pair countries, but both of them. Now, I'm not an economist, but you can read the papers. You got to read multiple papers. You got to look at multiple newscasts and all that other stuff. I mean, I've got BBC News, not the BBC News that the U.S. looks at. I've got BBC News that the overseas folks are looking at. Those web pages are different, and so we look at those to get the sentiment of stuff. And I do this not to trade on it, but I'm interested in that stuff. Okay, remember I started my currency trading in 2007, not as a trader, but as an academic exercise in what the currency markets are and all that other stuff, using my 33-year career as a senior software applications programmer, developer, and physics background and all that stuff, just to, write computer simulation code and all that stuff. And then I said, well, I'll start trading, and I learned it the wrong way because I taught myself, and I thought that all the stuff in the videos and the books was true. I've been over this 1,000 times. Go back and look at my body of work. You'll see the sad story of that. But because I learned that stuff incorrectly, I can't break those habits. It's so hard. If you go out and you pick up a set of golf clubs and you just go out onto the course and you start banging balls around, you're going to pick up some bad habits. And then when you finally do go and take lessons, it's almost impossible to break those bad habits. And I think it's particularly tough in currency trading because it's not just the mechanical things that you learn that are stupid, but it's also your emotional state of mind and your psychology that gets all screwed up. And then you compound that with indicators that show the price should be moving somewhere, you know, Bollinger Bands and RSI and all that crap. And you get broadcast with all this fundamental news and awareness of what's going to happen. And so you can't help but to look at the thing, particularly if you learn this stuff wrong, look at the charts and have this bias of all this information. I'm here to tell you that all of the theoretical work that I did, all the study that I did in currency markets from 2007 until about a year ago, which would be 2020, 2019, was a complete waste of time. All the books, all the computer simulation stuff, watching the videos, all that crap. It was a complete waste of time. You can learn the mechanics and the plumbing of trading as fast as you can read 50 pages in a book. And you don't even have to remember it. You just get in there and you start trading in a simulated account, and all of a sudden you see some reference to a Bollinger Band. And well, do I want to use it or do I not want to use it? You have to have somebody there that's giving you some mentorship at that point to say, hey, don't worry about the Bollinger Bands right now. If you want to use them later, that's fine, but let's not clutter the action up. Let's just figure out how to run a trading platform and let's do this. There are several large currency trading educational businesses run by really reputable folks that have worked in the city in London as traders and have run trading desks and managed trading outfits, teaching all this stuff, the fundamentals and technical analysis and all that shit. That's what they have to do because they're trading over a year's period of time. Do you know that in these large organizations, they have traders that are they're just alongside traders. They're buyers. That's all they do. They accumulate inventory so that when a client comes in and says, I need to trade this currency for that currency so I can take my $3 billion worth of engine parts order and facilitate that, they've got an inventory of the opposite and then sell it off. And that's where you get the economic movements that create these huge price action changes. So they think differently, and they're trading for a different purpose. They're trading in a different way, and all the rules that they use are if you have some guy with trying to transfer $3 billion, trade $3 billion worth of currency. Each individual trader is in there saying, oh, I got $3 billion, I'm going to get in the market, I'm going to do that. No. They might spread that out over 10 or 20 people. And each one of those folks might take $2 or $3 million or $10 million or whatever it is, 100 million, and they're going to dribble the stuff in the market. And so the market will go down a little bit, and then they stop. And the market goes back up, they accumulate more inventory, and then they start and they take it on back down. That isn't trading. That's facilitating a customer order. That's like driving up to the Burger King window and saying, I need a burger but no fries. And they give you what you want. That isn't trading. And so anybody who goes in there and thinks that that's what they're doing, only over a long, long period of time with a lot of emphasis will they have any idea what's going on. And it's going to require endless hours of studying economic conditions and world macroeconomics. And oh my God, it's crazy. And then they say that that's what we work a job or whatever, and we're supposed to dedicate 8 hours a day to fundamental analysis and research and study economics and supply-demand theory and all the other horse shit that they have to know how to do in order to determine whether the fucking price is going to go up or down today. And they may be trading for 200 or 300 pips or whatever in order to distribute their orders out over enough of a spectrum where they're not changing the market and chewing themselves up. Jesus, if you need more, if you're a retail trader and you don't need to make more than 10 pips a day. If you're trading a full lot, 10 pips is $100. You say, well, that ain't going to change my lifestyle. Of course not. Try trading a 10 lot then. Okay, then it becomes $100 a pip. Now you're trading $1,000 for your 10 pips. How's that work for you? You work at $1,000 a day? How'd that work for you? Okay, so why would you need to know what's going on in the economies of the two different countries? The information as to the result of that fundamental stuff is reflected in the chart. And let me tell you something. The charts that I'm looking at today are not reflecting the underlying economic news. So I've got a position on, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm underwater right now. I'm $1,600 underwater. I was $3,000 underwater not too many minutes ago, and that has come back down. I've added to my position. So I have full confidence that in the long run, that price will move where I feel it should move to. But in the meantime, I'm fighting all these institutions that are trying to unload their inventory or gather more inventory. I know what the fuck they're trying to do. But I can see it in the charts. I can see what's happening. But I can only see that because I kind of sort of understand the backdrop of all this stuff. So you need to understand what the backdrop is. What's the purpose of the currency markets? Well, that's all you need to know. And then when you see this shit going on, don't say, oh, the dollar's getting stronger, so therefore the pound-dollar pair has got to go down. Because it may not be. The brokers and the traders and the big institutions may not have it ready to go down. They're still maybe accumulating inventory, so they need to ignore the fact that the dollar is strong and the pound is crazy, and they're just going to make the pound go up. I don't know why. I don't care. And I think that's why I don't like the longer-term trading, because the more of the longer-term trader you become, the more aware of the fundamentals you have to be. And you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to hold your position over the long run. I don't want to do that. The problem is that that's not how I learned how to do this stuff. I'm having a hell of a hard time. So that the trade that I'm in right now, I have confidence that it will work in the long run, but how much of a pain am I going to have to suffer as a result of that? Is it going to be 40 pips out? Is it going to be 100 pips out? I don't fucking know. I've got a large enough account, and I'm trading with a significant portion of it right now, but it's not all the money that's at my disposal. As I've said before, I sold my last real estate property, and so I've got a ton of money in the bank, and I'm bringing it over so I can have that six-figure account to trade with. But that doesn't mean anything. That just means that I'm not going to trade with that until I get significantly comfortable that I'm not going to do stupid shit by looking at what the fuck the fundamentals are saying that the price action should be. But I can't help myself. It's stupid. It's not productive. And I'm doing this video to caution you. Do not learn to trade the wrong way. Do not learn to trade the wrong way, because you will build habits that you can't support later on. You'll build habits that you can't get away from. You take a course from some guy that's telling you that you need to understand fundamental analysis and you need to understand all these technical indicators and all this stuff. You've lost your money already. And it's doubled because you probably paid $2,000 for the course, and you're going to lose, of your $1,000 that you put in 4 or 5 times, you'll lose $2,000 or $3,000 fucking around with it. Oh, man. I hate to be such a Debbie Downer on this stuff, but I'm a pretty bright guy, and I understand where my weaknesses are, and I understand what I did wrong before. The main thing that I did wrong is I listened to all these people on the videos, and I read these books from people that were running huge funds and huge amounts of bank money, and they all have great ideas, and after you become a successful trader, you need to read that stuff so that you understand in more depth the why of this stuff. You know, if you're a golfer, and I'm not a golfer, but because of my martial arts background, 50 years in martial arts and studying physiology and body mechanics and all that other kind of crap, I can tell you whether you're taking a good swing or a bad swing. And I'm telling you that if you go out to learn how to play golf, they're not going to start you out with a lot of theory and talking about air drag and the shape of the driver and how much the weight of the driver differs between different types of drivers and the cut of the green, what that's going to do with the ball roll as it approaches the cup. Even they're going to tell you that. They're going to say, address the ball and hit that fucker down the field. You know, and they're going to show you how to do the swing correctly. If you go out into the local park and you start swinging a golf club and you're doing all kinds of crazy shit, do you understand how difficult it will be to try to break those habits? When I was a kid, I wanted to learn a musical instrument. And, you know, I just couldn't justify a piano or anything like that. And I didn't want to play a wind instrument. So I got a guitar and I started to try to learn how to play guitar. And I took some lessons from a hack guy that was showing me how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or some shit on the, you know, thing and blah, 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 blah. And I built up a lot of bad habits. You know, flash forward to after I graduated from college and moved out here to New Hampshire, I wanted to continue playing guitar. I mean, I had 6 months of stupid lessons that were just a waste of time. It was just through the local music store, come down, and Billy was he can teach you jazz, classical, reggae, and rock. You know, what do you want to learn? Oh, this is fucking terrific. So that's the training that I had. No good training at all. So I go and I hook up with probably one of the top 100 classical guitarists in the United States. His name was Walter Spaulding. And he says, "What can you do?" And I'm playing. He goes, Where'd you learn that?" I go, "Oops." And he says, "We have some work to do." And you know, I spent the first 4 months unlearning bad finger positioning habits. He had me in my hand, he had me holding a golf ball as I wrapped my fingers around the neck of the guitar because I was so used to doing it this way instead of the correct way. 3 months I had to practice with a golf ball in my hand. And that's what I'm experiencing in currency trading. I'm not losing money in currency trading because I'm stupid. I'm losing money in currency trading because I learned it the wrong way. I take full responsibility for that, but I'm going to fucking fix it because I know how to do this stuff. I just have to figure out within my own personal context how I'm going to change the psychological demons that are running around in my head. And this little bridge troll, Ed, that sits on my left shoulder, I don't know if you can see him or not. You see him? I don't know. But Ed's sitting there and he's whispering crazy shit to me right now. Go back in. Get out of the trade. Take your loss. Fuck you, Ed. Go away and listen to Ed. I want to get this right. I know how to get it right, but there's so many conflicting elements of trading that I have that when I work with another student, they don't have that. They don't start off with that because they don't have the bad introduction. I know how to teach this stuff. Jesus, I taught karate for 50 years. I know how to present complex issues in simple form. Doing them becomes a problem when I learned it the wrong way. I never had problems with that with martial arts because I went and I trained with an expert. And he took me through those steps, very simple and logical. And that's the way I've learned how to teach. In fact, the guy who I ultimately went with, who was my teacher's teacher, was so simple. Oh, I mean, I can remember a seminar with him going in, and he spent this is an up block. When you do this with your hand, you're blocking somebody up. And so we were talking about the up block, and he spent 20 minutes talking about the mechanics of the up block and said it's all a waste of time. Just do this. That's what he said in relationship to my instructor, who was very technical and was expect. He said, no, just do that. He said, let me show you. And he had one of our students, a big guy who was a varsity football player. He said, go grab that baseball bat over there in the corner. And he said, now I want you to swing that baseball bat at my head as hard as you can. This is my ultimate teacher, Sam Brock, was standing there telling the student, you swing that baseball bat at my head as hard as you can, and I'll show you how to use an up block. And he said, you better swing that baseball bat at my head as hard as you can, because if you don't, I'm going to take it away from you and stick it up your ass. So Steve said, okay. He comes in and I saw how hard he swung that baseball bat. Brock stood here like this, and he goes, and that bat hit his arm and slid off his arm, and Steve had swung that bat with so much force that the force of it pulled it out of his hand, and that bat went flying across the room. We looked at Master Brock's arm, and there wasn't a thing there. He says, you don't need to know all that shit. You just need to know the basic fundamental thing and have faith and confidence that it's going to work. One of his students was sitting in a bar one night. Guy came up, put a gun to his head. He swung around, did that up block, swung off the chair, punched the guy in the stomach, and ran out the door. 7 people in that bar died that night. It was a drug gang that had come in and shooting the place up. If he wouldn't have swung off, blocked that gun, and run out the door, he'd have been dead. It's the simple stuff that saves your life in martial arts. It's that way in currency trading as well. I complicated it because I'm an engineer and I look for complex solutions to complex problems. Currency trading is a complex problem, but it's simple if you know how to break it down. Do not get wrapped up in fundamental analysis and all that other stuff unless you're planning on getting a career at a bank to do trading. But you're not going to be a bank trader. All you're going to be doing is spending your day sitting around making buy orders and collecting inventory so the guy that really knows what's coming along can go into the market and sell it. Or maybe you're on the other side. You're constantly selling inventory out of the bank. It's stupid. You won't have any fun. You'll work long days. Nobody will give you any respect. Watch Anton Friel on the videos. I forget what his business is. Institute for Learning or something. And he was a bank trader. He'll tell you all this stuff, and he'll tell you that retail traders don't stand a chance. That's funny. There's quite a few retail traders that do stand a chance. But 90% of them fail because they listen to stupid shit out there. I'm not saying Anton Friel has got stupid shit, but he's teaching you the real scoop behind how a bank trader, if you're serious about macroeconomics and all that other sort of stuff, that's what he's going to teach you how to do. So, of course, he doesn't think that a retail trader is going to be successful because he knows that the retail traders are trying to learn all that stuff and they don't have access to the correct information. How can you be successful if you don't have the right information? Anything you're going to learn, the dollar's getting stronger. Where did I learn that? From the 95 contacts I have all around the globe? No, I read it on the fucking CNN. Come on. You can't compete with that. Don't try. That just is a complicated issue. Do it simply, smile, and have a cup of coffee, which is what I need right now after this severe rant. I apologize for the rant, but I don't apologize for hoping that it's going to wake you up and make you aware that you cannot compete with those guys, nor should you, for what we need to do as retail traders. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day. Have a great trading day.